Ladies and gentlemen, we kick the night off with the man who has been a world champion for 678 days. The head of the table, the king of the bloodline, the tribal chief. Deafening ovation.
Please welcome the undisputed NetSN Pick'em Champ, Bret Swinning.
Of all time, and he could very well be.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the DSN. It's your boy Bret Swinning here, and if you're thinking, DSN, what is that? This is the new network. We have started here at NetSN. We've started a new network, and it's right, your NetSN Pick'em Champ is here to talk wrestling tonight as we talk Off the Ropes episode 1, the WWE Royal Rumble, and we're all over the place. But if you're watching this on the NetSN channel, great. Come join us on the DSN. It's a favorite on the NetSN page. We've got the link below, scrolling. So follow us on Twitter and our YouTube channel. We're going to be here talking wrestling every so often, and hope you all enjoy it tonight. I've got a guest to introduce tonight. My first guest is my co-host for this show, Off the Ropes. You guys, he was in San Antonio last night and had a rough night of it. He took some tough blows. He was squished. He was beaten, and just a lot of things happened to him. And let me give him an introduction here to the show. That's right. It's KO. It's Kyle Owens. Welcome, Kyle.
That's awesome. I love the intro.
And none of that's false, right? You were squished, you were mangled, you were there at the Rumble last night in San Antonio.
I was squished. It was not the greatest of seating arrangements, but you know what? I still had a good time. The Rumble, it was decent. We'll talk about it. But the atmosphere was fantastic, and that's what I love about these live events. So I had a good time. Just didn't. I probably need to lose a few pounds before I go back to the Alamo Dome.
Oh, and we have another special guest. We're working on contract negotiations with this guy to bring him on with us.
Be a tough
We've
one.
got him tonight. You may know him from doing other things in sports, but you may not know that he loves wrestling too. And let me introduce him. It's your boy from the Tyler Paper, B.O. Brandon Ogden. Brandon, welcome.
Hey, how's it going? Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, this little intro here. Brandon, are you ready to talk some wrestling?
Oh yeah, definitely.
All right. So, Kyle, you were there last night. What'd you think being there at the arena? How was it?
Well, like I was saying, the atmosphere was fantastic. You knew something weird was going to happen that night when they started the show off with the Men's Royal Rumble match, which is normally how they end the show. But starting off with it, you knew something crazy was going to happen. It was kind of predictable who was going to win, but there was a couple of surprises in there, and overall it was an entertaining match. And then the pitch black match, I wasn't sure how they were going to do the pitch black match. I wasn't sure how that was going to happen because you got to be able to see the wrestling to, enjoy it. So I wasn't sure how they were going to do it. It was really cool what they did. They changed out the ropes and put, some black light stuff taping on all the ropes. So when the
So could you see them when they changed them out? So they actually did change the ropes out after the Royal Rumble? That's interesting.
Yeah. They changed out the ropes and the mat. So when the black lights hit it, they, I guess, had the images on there already. But interesting match. I have a couple of gripes about the match that I'll get to in a little bit. I have a couple of gripes about it.
Okay.
But other than that, that was cool. And then Alexa and Bianca went for the Raw Women's Championship. Gonna be honest with you, the vibe in the arena was kind of a bathroom break match, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful to the Raw Women's Champion because she could beat me up very badly. But it was just the heat wasn't there for that one. And then you had the Women's Rumble match, and then ended the night with KO and Roman and the exodus of Sami Zayn from the Bloodline, which I think is the best story in sports entertainment and wrestling going on right now. It is phenomenal. And there were grown men with tears in their eyes last night when Sami got beat out of the Bloodline. It was crazy. It was a crazy night. So overall, I think the show was okay. It wasn't one of the better Rumbles that WWE's put on, but the ending was magnificent. Chef's kiss to the ending.
It was worth the trip then.
Absolutely, 100%.
All right. Well, let's start with that first Rumble match, Kyle, and talk about it a little bit. I was the Rumble match in general for me. There wasn't as many surprises as normal. You didn't have a lot of old wrestlers come back. Of course, you had Booker T. That was a good one, nostalgic. Speaking of that, Kyle, I've got some bones to pick with you about a certain spinner-rooney that you owe Hawkins at center court after they clinched the 5-peat. If you know what I mean there.
I do.
For those you don't know, we were covering Hawkins, and Kyle said if they won that 5th district championship in a row, he was going to do a spinner-rooney in the middle of the court.
Yeah.
So
the way I look at it, if Booker T was able to get one revolution last night, I can surely get one revolution.
Yeah, I was impressed. It was actually a pretty good one. Like he's been practicing a little bit.
Yeah, he looked in fantastic shape for his age. Booker T looked fantastic, but I'm kind of with you. I was disappointed that was the only real surprise.
Now Edge came back.
Yeah,
so that was a little bit
coming back though.
But the way they put it, I mean, it was like you put all the Judgment Day in, and then you brought Edge as like, okay, we know what's about to happen here. Edge is about to eliminate the Judgment Day. That was pretty predictable. I was impressed with Gunter though.
Yeah,
I mean
he set a new Rumble record for the longest amount of time,
and he's not a small man either.
No,
and so he was out there over an hour. I mean, that's a long time.
Speaking of small men, where's Rey Mysterio?
Okay, so Kyle, do you know this? Do you have an answer, or did you hear?
I seriously don't know what happened with Rey Mysterio.
Okay, so from what I heard was he was injured in the match at SmackDown Friday, and so they wrote him off by having Dominic take him out in the back.
Oh,
so that's what I heard.
Oh, okay. Well, why didn't they just have somebody go in his place then?
I don't know.
Now it's not a 30-man Royal Rumble.
Maybe it was last minute. Maybe it was last minute, and they just kind of had to make do. They weren't sure if he was going to be able to compete, and then
But it was funny having Dominic come out with his mask on, and
That was
Yeah.
hilarious.
You know, I mean, it's still like I was hoping last night that story would develop because Ray says, "Hey, I'm not going to fight him," but they're going to have a match at Mania, and so he was hoping that would happen matriculate last night, and it still could because of how they did it. But we'll just kind of see when he comes back and how they go forward.
Well, I know with y'all have been, and Brandon, you were at Mania, so you know how at those big pay-per-view events, sometimes in the arena you don't know what's going on. Like you're at the mercy of what's in front of you. So everybody in our section were like, "Wait a second, where is Ray?" Like more people kept coming out, and then when Edge came out, me and Jeremy thought, "Okay, Ray's going to come out with Edge to help Edge defeat Judgment Day." That's what we thought. So maybe Ray was coming out later, but Ray never showed up and they never said anything about him. So I was like, what happened with Ray?
Well, even on the broadcast, they didn't ever mention it too much. That was the two things. They didn't ever come back to say where Ray was, and they never technically said that Kofi was eliminated.
Yeah, I wondered that.
That was weird too.
I
that
thought
was a weird
here's what I thought was going to happen. Drew and I were watching it together. Drew watched it with me last night. I was at his house in Madisonville, and when he landed, his leg was up. He was on the chair and his leg was up and it wasn't touching the floor. So we thought, oh, here in a minute, Kofi's going to like scoot over on the chair and get back in the ring. I wonder though, if he got hurt because that was a weird fall and it I don't know, it didn't look natural. Like, okay, his leg was up, but was it up really? Or did they move it up after he was off camera? So I kind of wondered that. The other one I thought was a weird elimination was it the what's his name from Phantasma? The guy with Phantasma.
Santos?
Yeah, he hit his head on the ring like hard, and they take you off camera so you couldn't see it, but look, his neck snapped back when he hit the side of the ring, so that it looked really nasty to me. I kept waiting for the X to be thrown up. I never saw any, but they didn't really go back over there. That was an elimination. I thought, ooh, that was nasty. It wasn't meant to be like that.
There was a couple that we were confused about in the stands. Like the that Kofi one was weird because on the screen it didn't show him I think Gunther threw him off. It didn't show him getting thrown off the ring. It just showed him landing in the chair and the chair falling. But I was like, I'm like, well, his foot's still up, so is he still in? But there was so much other action going on that I forgot about Kofi, and I never saw him go to the back. I also didn't realize, I thought we had our final four set until Logan Paul jumped back in the ring. I thought Logan Paul had been eliminated the whole time, but that spot with Ricochet, which, by the way, was absolutely amazing. That spot with Ricochet.
They showed it on TV like 4 or 5 times, and it was just incredible the way they just collided.
Showed it on Sports Center last night.
It made Sports Center.
Man.
Yeah.
Well,
that was wild.
And just by going online here, they did give the elimination to Gunther. Kingston was the 4th person out.
Yeah.
So he eliminated both members of New Day.
Yeah, see, I thought Xavier was going to catch him. And then the next person out was Brock, so I thought he went over there. I thought he was going to do something. So,
and I wonder too if it was actually meant for something else, and then it just because Kofi's always gets something crazy.
I think the plan was for him to land in that chair and then kind of like bounce over back to the ring like he's done before. But my thing is, yes, that's Kofi's thing where he does some miraculous save where he gets back in the ring, but I mean, that's a high probability of not making it. And so I just think it was a little reckless, but I mean, you got to do something. So I get that. But speaking of Brock, when Brock got eliminated by Bobby Lashley, that man lost his mind.
Man, he threw that. I thought he was going to hurt. He threw the top of the announce table into the ring. I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
He is not happy. And then
the best
Baron
part, Corbin.
I was going to say, then Baron Corbin, of course, of all people, gets to take the F5. I thought Baron Corbin was going to lay out for a while, and then he was going to try to sneak in at the end and be sneaky Corbin and do something. But unfortunately for him, he just got tossed into the ring and to the wolves. But
I thought that I like them putting a spotlight on Gunther because he's an intercontinental champion, and it kind of got put on the back burner these past few years with Vince. And so I'm glad to see that that got a little more shine with him going 70 minutes in the Rumble, and he's not a small guy. And then the end, I mean, it was inevitable. I think it was a terrible idea to have Cody Rhodes come out at number 30. I think he should have came out maybe 15 or 20, make him fight a little bit and earn it. Instead, he comes back, wrestles for 5 minutes, and gets a world championship shot.
Maybe he's not quite ready to go full. Maybe they were just trying to, they didn't want to risk him being in there too long and hurting himself. I don't know, because
if that's the case, then don't put him in there with Gunther, who's going to chop his chest off.
They've been after it for a while too. So
yeah. Well, I don't know. Maybe his stamina's not there yet.
That's not the only issue, but that's a big issue I saw with the Rumble, was having Cody come out at number 30, just because that once Logan Paul came out at 29, then everybody was like, well, Cody's next. And once Cody comes out, he's winning it. It was obvious with everybody else in the ring that he was winning. I thought
before I knew who was in it, the two that I thought had a chance of, just because of an interesting storyline. I know Cody was one, and I thought Sami Zayn, if he was in it, could do something crazy. Of course, that was before I knew anything else that was going to happen later that night. And I think they did the right thing with that. But it could have been something interesting if Sami Zayn wins, and now he's got the chance to fight Roman. That could have been interesting. But they didn't go with The Rock. The Rock kind of that thing was at Nick's, I think, a few weeks ago, that he wasn't going to do it, which was kind of disappointing. But I think Cody goes over at Mania and finally dethrones Reigns.
Here's a problem. Well, we could talk about this problem at the end of the show, because it'll make more sense. But now, what do you do at Mania? Do you have Roman and Sami at Mania? Because right now, Sami's the biggest baby face in the company over Cody Rhodes, because now he's going up against Roman, and he just got beat down by the bloodline. He's got everybody on his side. So you can't, I mean, you have to ride the hot streak. So you got to put Sami in something, but I think lose.
I think we'll talk about that when we get to that match, because there's some things that when we talk about that. But let's see, just kind of going down this list of entrants, I didn't see anybody that was really surprised. I think Lesnar was a little surprising. I really didn't know if he was going to be in the Rumble.
They announced him on Friday.
Yeah, Friday night he said, yeah.
Okay, because I didn't get to watch. I was at the game, so since our games were so late, I kind of skimmed through SmackDown just enough to kind of see what was going on, but I really didn't catch that, I guess. Going through here, I mean, I think the Lashley Lesnar thing is interesting. They really haven't fought a whole lot. I think it's one of those matches that people really want to see, but they haven't. I think they fought. When was that? It was not too long ago, but then before then, it has been like 10, 15 years.
I think they fought a couple of times last year.
Yeah,
at a couple of pay-per-views.
I still think with those two could tear the house down with something. I think that could be something that's really interesting. What do you do with someone like Seth Rollins? I don't know. He's weird that he's a babyface. It's because they love his music, and but he's still it's kind of a tweener almost.
I don't know if you could tell in person, Kyle, but they did a semi-tease last night to Logan Paul and Seth Rollins.
See, I kind of got that
threw Seth out.
Yeah, and they kind of also did the tease though with Ricochet and Logan Paul, with them standing on opposite sides. I know Ricochet's not as big his name as Seth Rollins, but athleticism-wise, Ricochet and Logan Paul would be phenomenal.
Oh, they could do some crazy stuff. We already saw one spot, that if they had time to play something out, that could be something really crazy.
I don't know what to do with Seth. Yes. Yeah, I don't know what to do with Seth, just because he's been going after the US title. That's getting old. There's, with Roman having both titles, there's no other title to go for on Raw. So I don't know. I
kind of wonder when he's gonna have a match for both, and I wonder if at Mania they make him defend both, and then he loses one and not the other.
Because they're splitting up the tag team, so I wonder if they'll eventually split his up too. So
because that way that would give them an out where he could lose and still keep his record streak going. Because I wonder how long they're gonna. I'm thinking maybe he gets over 1,000 days at some point. He's already at almost 900.
Right.
I think he's losing both titles at Mania. and I think he'll lose one on night 1 and the second one on night 2.
So you think he'll defend?
I think
both?
he's wrestling both nights.
Because I mean, you're at Mania and you got only one big title match,
Right?
I mean, because usually the Royal Rumble, and this is where you could get it. Usually the Royal Rumble member gets to pick to go after a championship, right?
Right.
So Cody Rhodes picks one of those, then somebody else, they have some kind of tournament to get to whoever gets the other one. Wouldn't it be funny if either Sammy or KO took the other one from him?
I think there's different plans for Sammy and KO, but I think what you could
Tag
do,
wise, you think they're going to go after the Usos, don't you?
yeah,
Yeah,
I do. Well, I did
until the end.
We'll wait till the end.
Yeah, that's still something that was weird to me. That I was like, oh, okay, that could be interesting.
But I do think that they're going to split up. I think Roman does both nights of Mania, and what they could do is Cody Rhodes won the Rumble. Have an at the Elimination Chamber. Whoever wins the chamber, that's SmackDown, and then Cody goes after Raw, and you do one on one night, one on the other.
Yeah, it could be.
But you got to get him off Roman. Roman can't have both titles forever. Like it's coming to an end. The bloodline's falling. It's got to happen.
That's going to be the demise when the bloodline collapses. That's going to be probably the end of it. Let's see. You had Otis, of course. That I thought Otis. Omos is who I meant to say. Omos and Strowman's match. That was interesting.
I can't stand Omos.
I'm not a fan, but the match of seeing how big he is when he goes up against Braun Strowman, I thought that was pretty interesting.
So I'm not a fan of Omos, but I have a soft spot because I watched him play college basketball. So I have a soft spot for him because I remember him from then. But he hasn't developed the way you would like.
No, not at all. And I don't think he's like it's hard to be a big man in WWE and move around. Like Big Show could move around in the ring pretty well. Kane could move around. Undertaker. Omos just he's not. Yeah. I'm not a fan of Omos at all.
I think he needs to be in a faction with somebody.
He needs to be the muscle.
Maybe they restart Hurt Business, and he's a muscle for that group. They've always kind of done that group weird. I didn't think they ever got the push long enough. They had little bit time when that they were doing really well, and then it kind of ended, and then they were back for like a week, and then it was over again. I think with Omos as the muscle there for Lashley, a Lashley heel turn with. Yeah, what do you got?
Did you say Bobby Lashley needed muscle?
Well, I don't. So when he's a heel character, when he's heel Lashley,
maybe somebody do his dirty work.
Yeah,
Bobby Lashley can handle himself. I think he can take care of himself.
But I think that would be a good group to put him with because he kind of MVP's been kind of lingering around Omos. He's already been talking to Lashley in previous shows, kind of just hinting at something possibly. Now Lesnar's coming after him. Does he try to hide behind a faction?
Look, you could. I mean, I think the Hurt Business does get together at some point. When I don't know. I think it's happening soon. But less Omos on my TV screen, the better for me.
That the best part of Omos was when they had the Underground and he was in there just beating folks and beating folks in Raw Underground. Which by the way, I like that segment. I like that little thing. It was interesting. They always had some interesting stuff going on.
Yeah,
they could have done more with it. I think.
I think also in the Rumble with Edge, I understand why Edge is coming back and feuding with Judgment Day, but at the same time, like there's other people that Edge. Why not Edge and Rollins going at each other? Let's start a feud with Edge and Rollins. I mean, I understand there's unfinished business with the Judgment Day, but let's how
many times have we danced with that one?
Yeah, let's advance to something else. Edge and Rollins, I think, would be a great match.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I don't think I think it's going with they're going back with a Judgment Day again some reason. Because then you got Beth Phoenix coming out, taking care of Rhea Ripley.
Maybe a mixed tag match at Mania with Edge and Beth against Finn and Ripley.
Well, they can't because Rhea won the Rumble.
Oh, that's true. That's true. Good point.
Yeah.
Unless she has 2 matches.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
Well,
Unless you have Beth beat Bianca somewhere down the line or something.
Well, maybe. Okay, so maybe they'll do the mixed tag at the chamber at Elimination
Yeah,
Chamber.
that's what I
next
was
month.
thinking.
Yeah.
They
Okay.
could.
So at the chamber, do it Dom and Rhea
Yeah.
against Edge and Beth, and then maybe that's when Ray comes back.
Yeah. Look at see, Brandon. We just need to all sit down and book a show.
Yeah, we
need
could
to
book
a show.
something. Yeah.
Because we're all story writers. Like, you know, y'all do it more with y'all's voices, and I do it more with my keyboard. But we that's what we have, that story writing mindset. So
Well, when you watch enough wrestling and you see this, you start thinking, man, I could do this. I mean, some of the things that's booked, I'm like, but you know, I think overall they did some cool things with the way they brought people in and out. Not that some of them have been already done until 10 million times, but I think they strategically put some people in at certain times. I thought that was good. I personally like the old school people coming back, but not a ton of them just because it takes up spots. You know they're not going to win. They get a pop. One that would have been awesome there would have been Stone Cold, come in, stun some people. But, you know, they've actually, I think I heard they were trying to get him to be in that Mania this year, throwing some money at him. And after the performance last year,
yeah,
he still got some matches in the tank. You know, not full time, but just on a special occasion. I mean, they brought back Goldberg, and he couldn't wrestle to save his life there at the end. It was hurting people and stuff. I mean, heck, Stone
he's
Cold
another person I want less on my TV screen. I loved Goldberg back in the 90s and the 2000s, but
yeah,
I'm past him. I'm with you. I think normally a few more surprises happen in the men's rumble or in both rumble matches. There's normally some more legends that come back, but I do think it speaks positively of WWE that they have enough talent on their roster where they can book a whole rumble and still leave some people out, because there wasn't a few people that weren't in there that you could have added in. So I think that talent wise, it's a good thing they're doing that. But I'm like you, bringing legends back is taking up somebody's spot, and that legend's not going to win.
So what do y'all think? Somebody we haven't mentioned yet is the U.S. champ, Austin Theory. Where do y'all think that's going with Theory? He's been put lately. Of course, he was Vince McMahon's boy, and then he got like crushed. Everybody crushed him because McMahon left, and they said basically that you're done because your daddy's not here anymore. That was probably one of my favorite lines on the show. But who could be an opponent for Theory? I didn't see anything within. And we've seen Rollins in Theory, Lashley Theory. We've seen that a lot. Who among these top contenders could y'all see kind of going with Theory next?
I mean, you always go back to AJ Styles when he comes back. I mean, he wasn't there last night, so I don't know where, when he's coming back.
He's injured, so I don't know.
He broke his ankle.
Yeah, I just didn't know how long. Yeah, we don't know how long. So
I don't either. AJ would be a good one. Yeah, I mean, they have a lot of talent out there, but it's the matchups. Like, how do you get these people matched up with each other? And I think that's the biggest issue that Triple H is going to be running into, is how do you get all these people on TV? Because Raw has 3 hours to fill, so you can fill TV time, but you want it to be meaningful TV time and not just fluff. So I don't know really.
Another thing is coming up is going to be the draft, and that'll be interesting to see how that goes. There's some NXT guys that are ready to come up. I think Breaker's ready. He's been the NXT champion for a year plus, I think, at this point.
That's something else I would have liked to see more in the men's Royal Rumble, is some more NXT stars. Where was Braun Breaker, Carmelo Hayes, Grayson Waller? Some of those
Now they have a pay-per-view next week.
Right.
So maybe they didn't want to risk getting some of those guys hurt.
Yeah, I could tell you weren't going to get many for the men, but the women had a few. The women had Indy Hartwell, Zoe Stark. They had a few, which you normally get because there's not as many women on the roster.
Right.
So you have to fill some spots there. So that's where you normally get the extra surprises. But the men, you could tell going in, just like there's not many spots. Just like we knew Cody's going to be in, and it's like there's no. I mean, they couldn't even fit the bloodline in.
My opinion on the whole Cody thing, I don't think the packages that they did before did anything for him.
It would have been better.
I
To
think
keep him
he
a
should have came
surprise.
back as a surprise pop.
Yeah.
He still got a big pop. Don't get me wrong. You could hear it. But you can imagine the pop he would have gotten if nobody really knew if he was going to come back. Like you just thought he was, but with that kind of injury, you don't know.
Or
I thought they should have just made it a surprise that he just comes back.
Or if you're telling me he's coming back, don't put him in at number 30 where it takes all the guessing work out of it. Well, he's next. Like if you're going to bring him back at number 1 or number 15 or number
8. 30 you want someone that you're guessing. You're like, who's going to be 30, you know?
Yeah, who could
I remember that
be?
when we went to the Rumble last time. I can't remember who was 30, but we didn't know who it was. We were just like, who's 30? Who's 30? And
it ended up being Roman. It ended up being Roman that year. So
was it Roman?
He lost. Yeah, he lost to Kevin Owens the second match of the night.
Yeah, he did lose.
Yeah,
but see, you wouldn't expect that though, because he'd already been in a match. So it was a surprise. I knew it was somebody that we weren't expecting. But that pay-per-view, I think, was, my opinion, was probably a little bit better. You had Cena winning the record-tying 16th championship, something I'll never forget. The last time he's ever won it. I don't know if he'll ever get that 17. I wish he would. I think he deserves it as much as he's done for the WWE. I think he deserves the 17th. At least some kind of run with it at some point. I don't know if he'll ever get it because he's so busy in the movie industry and stuff now. But he can still go. We saw on New Year's Eve show there. I mean, obviously he can still go. So I don't know. That I think that, to me, the ending was great, like Kyle said, but overall I think it was a little, because I kind of was late to get home. We were trying to eat and had my nephew's birthday party and stuff, and I was like, ooh, I wonder what match I'll miss. So I tuned in just to see, and I was like, all right, it's going to be Gunther versus Sheamus. And I was like, okay, I don't remember that match being announced. But then I didn't see I didn't hear the talk about the Royal Rumble. I just tuned in and Gunther was in the ring and the Sheamus came. Okay. And then they started the countdown. I'm like, this is the Rumble already? Wait, you can't start this yet. I wasn't going to be able to. Thankfully, my brother had it paused when we got to his house. He had Peacock, so it paused. So, but yeah, I think overall the Rumble, again, it was pretty predictable for me. I think it was had some good spots. Logan Paul showing up was kind of interesting. Booker T. I would give the overall maybe like a B for a Rumble. I mean, I think it could have been better, but I've definitely seen worse.
Yeah, the Logan Paul was kind of a surprise because reports were that at the Saudi show that he tore his knee. So I didn't expect him to be back for the Rumble.
You sure didn't expect him to see jumping off a rope colliding midair into somebody.
No. So that was a surprise. My other issue with the Rumble is the entryway, like the
mile entryway.
Like by the time, so the buzzer goes off, music hits, and the person walks out. By the time they get to the ring, there's like 20 seconds left before the countdown starts again. Like, give me some time to breathe. Cut down. It doesn't need to be a mile long. Like, you could cut it down a little bit.
I think the problem is when you have those big stadiums, though, you have to put the ring somewhere, and so, yeah.
So, Brett, do you remember how, like last time when it was in San Antonio, it wasn't as long as it was this time, and they still had the big guys like Big E, Braun, I think Mark Henry might have been in that one. The big guys in that one, they brought them in on scooters.
Yeah, it was. I think it was a straight shot last time, if I remember correctly.
It was. Yeah,
it wasn't coming from the side.
I was actually on the. It was a crazy thing that happened, but I ended up in the aisleway.
Oh,
after it was. Yeah, it was. That's another story for another day. But it ended up right there at the aisleway, and so I got to see. But yeah, they brought the big guys on scooters. Like Big Show, Big E, Braun Strowman, and them, they had them on these like little fast scooters.
Man,
that's why I told Jeremy. I said, with as long as this entrance is, Roman Reigns' entrance will last 10 minutes, taking him 10 minutes to get to the ring.
And it really did.
I was recording. I was like, all right, bro, I'm not recording all this. Is going to take up all the space.
Yeah, I did last time. Too. I recorded every entrance on the Rumble last time on my phone. I still have all those entrance videos.
That's what I did.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's just fun to have that because I was trying to go back and remember. I never remembered who all was in and stuff, and I recorded like Cena's celebration and stuff like that. So
it's like the last one I went to was when Edge came back. So
yeah, I think Cody Rhodes is the right winner. I think it was the right winner. I just hate how predictable it was. Like it could have they could have put him in a different spot and came to the same outcome. But I do think he was the right winner, and it brings up some interesting points about what could happen at Mania now with Roman.
Yep. All right. Any other thoughts on that before we move on? Good?
Not on the men's Rumble.
All right. We'll go to the next match. It's Bray Wyatt, LA Knight. And Kyle, you kind of gave us some overviews of the ring. From the TV perspective, I don't know, Brandon, I'm sure will agree with me. I thought it looked really cool. Like the LA Knight's outfit was perfect with the neon yellow. You could see him. I thought it was cool too. On TV, you couldn't see. You could tell Bray had something on his face, but you couldn't see the whole effect of it until they cut the lights off. I thought the effect of his face paint and makeup was really cool on TV. And just the kendo sticks. It was like glow sticks with on that. That was cool. The ropes, obviously, that Kyle said were swapped out. I think that was really cool. I mean, it
the
was
confetti went on the table.
Oh yeah, I didn't understand I couldn't really tell what that was at first.
Yeah.
And I like saw a little bit of it, and then when he went through the tables, like it went everywhere. I was like, oh, that's cool. What is that? But yeah, now that you say that, I guess it was confetti. I was kind of wondering what that was. It was hard to tell on TV. I don't know, Brandon, you could tell what it was, but it was hard to really tell.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I didn't notice it really until the women's Rumble.
Oh yeah,
You
when they
could
went
see it
over
still
there.
on the,
You
like
could,
when they threw Becky through the announce table, you could still
Yeah.
see all that green confetti there.
okay.
I think I love LA Knight. Yeah, I love LA
Yeah.
Knight. Like, I think he's great.
LA Knight.
Let me talk to you. I think he's great. I
That's
think he's
better. Hey,
fantastic.
it's better than Maximum Male Models. Let's just
Oh
get
my
that.
God.
Oh,
Yes, Max Dupree.
ugh.
But I love LA Knight. Like he is fantastic on the microphone. He can go in the ring. Like I love LA Knight. I'm a fan of Bray Wyatt, the Eater of Worlds Bray Wyatt, not the Fiend version. I wasn't crazy about. But here's my issue though. Bray came back at Extreme Rules. He has not been in a match for 2 years since he got let go by the since WrestleMania, the last WrestleMania.
Now he was on a live event. He wrestled someone.
He was. He did. I think it was at Madison Square Garden or something like that. So he did. Okay, he hadn't been in a televised match
Right.
since then. So everybody's excited to see him, and then you go out there, give us a gimmick match in the darkness where it's hard to see, and then you let him go for 5 minutes. Like, come on, man.
Well, the match was 5 minutes, but then we discovered that he somehow reappears and he's got a different mask on, and they keep fighting.
Yeah.
Which that was cool too. I knew at some point Uncle Howdy had to appear.
Right.
That spot was crazy though.
Yes.
Unfortunately, you could tell on TV. You probably may not have been able to tell. He missed him by like 3 or 4
he
feet.
missed at his head. Yeah, like a long shot.
Missed a long shot. But that spot was cool. But here's my issue with that. I have a lot of issues with this. Okay. Here's my issue with that though. Who is Uncle Howdy? Again, this has been going on for a couple of months.
Bo Dallas.
Is that confirmed? But
no,
I don't know that.
I'm pretty sure.
But my point is, this has been going on for 2 months, and we've got no real story progression. Like there's been no progression.
Well, they're trying to slow play it. It's better. Honestly, I think it's better this way because you don't want to rush through it and then that's it. Like let it play out. Right now, this is not who you want to reveal it against is LA Knight. No offense to LA Knight, but he's not the person you want to reveal or go into that. I think as he starts moving his way up and fights some bigger, better wrestlers, then that will come out. But that's who I've heard. Now that's not, that's just who I've heard it is. But
that's what I've heard too. But
did y'all see the characters up top too?
Yeah.
The rest of the Funhouse characters. I want those to come alive and be wrestlers. Like let him have his own little stable of Bray Wyatt guys.
When he heard about they're supposed to be the Wyatt Six.
Yeah.
He had 6 on his like a 6 in Roman numerals on his face paint.
And when he came back,
and Rowan's supposed to be one of them.
Who is?
Eric Rowan.
Rowan. Yeah. I thought you said Roman. And I was like, wait a second.
No, Roman Reigns.
Wait a second. No, but
Eric Rowan.
At Extreme Rules, they brought all those Firefly Funhouse characters to life. So I thought, okay, we got them all. That's the Wyatt Six. But now we've got Uncle Howdy. We don't know who the heck Uncle Howdy is. He just sits there and twirls his hand and dives off scaffolding. Like I need to know more.
I mean,
how does Alexa Bliss fit in?
Yeah,
how does
that's
Nikki Cross fit in?
She'll be in some of that. How about how did it look live, Kyle, with the fireworks explosion? Did it look as cool as it did?
Yeah, no, it was cool. I have it on I videoed it on my phone, but it was the scene and the optics in the arena and the colors were fantastic. And WWE does a great job at no matter what they do with the production side of it. They're going to make it look good. It's going to look sharp. And so the tape they had around the ropes with the lighting, the lighting in the arena, everything was cool. And you could see, it was hard to see, but you could still see because of LA Knight wearing the tights that he wore that lit him up, and then the rings that were lit up, or the ropes. It looked great. The match itself looked fantastic. I just wanted to see more from both of them. Did
you really expect more than that than a squash match, though? Honestly, yes. I didn't really expect much.
I expected it to be a decent match.
I mean, a decent match, but I just figured it was going to be a squash. They were going to beat each other up. Then Bray was going to just. Now, I didn't expect the aftermath. I figured Uncle Howdy would be somewhere in the ring, but I didn't see him jumping off a scaffold on the top. I didn't see that coming.
I didn't see Uncle Howdy helping Bray since we just saw him give him a Sister Abigail a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
So well, I didn't think
his deal is he's helping turn him back into the Bray Wyatt of old. Yeah. And so that was his job. And so now after the match, crazy on LA Knight, which is what he wanted. So now I think he's realigned himself with Uncle Howdy at this point.
I think I'd have to give it like a B-, maybe a C+ on the match. Just from my opinion, because it wasn't what maybe I had too high of a bar, but I just wanted more because I know how LA Knight can go and I know how Bray Wyatt can go. And I just wanted to see them actually go after it and not in a gimmick match. But
yeah. I mean, that's a pretty fair grade. I mean, I'm probably around the same thing. I mean, but honestly, I didn't expect too much. I think the actual match is that, but I think the aftermath, I give it an A. The aftermath, kind of the storytelling part of it, it kind of progressed the storytelling. Now we got Uncle Howdy actually doing something to someone else besides Bray Wyatt. Now he's interacting with someone else. Now I wonder do they continue with LA Knight for another pay-per-view, or are they going to go somewhere else with this? Well, I guess we'll just have to see.
Who knows? This is the hardest thing
in the elimination chamber, but
yeah.
Because I kind of thought at some point it was going to be Uncle Howdy versus Bray Wyatt, but now I don't know.
More LA Knight on my television. Yeah.
I wish they'd use him a little bit better. When he was at Impact, they used him. He's very entertaining on the mic.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think they could use him a little bit better. Maybe a mid-card title run or something for LA Knight wouldn't be a bad thing.
Yeah, I like it.
So, okay. Well, the next match, if y'all are done with that one, I think I've pretty much gone all the way over that match. But the next one's going to be the Raw Women's Championship match. And that's Bianca Belair versus Alexa Bliss. Now, this has got some interesting storytelling lines. The match overall for me, Kyle talked about it being the restroom break match. I almost fell asleep. Nobody thought Alexa Bliss was going to win. I mean, I didn't. I thought the only shred of chance she would win is if maybe Uncle Howdy comes out, distracts, some kind of gimmicky possible win for her. But I thought the chances of that were very slim before the match. They did kind of, at the end, kind of grow her character building, the storyline with Uncle Howdy and kind of the whole Wyatt interaction there. So that was cool. I thought that was interesting. But I thought the match was kind of forgettable, honestly, overall. What'd y'all think?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I agree. I mean, it was quick. I was like, and you knew they had to play some catch up, but I was like, that was really quick.
Yeah. Like you said, it wasn't. Alexa's not a believable opponent for Bianca Belair. So you knew going into it. The story to me was what was going to happen after the match. It wasn't so much the match, it was what was going to happen afterwards. But again, more questions than answers.
That's always a
because
good thing to me. When you have more questions, that's going to say, okay, I've got to tune in now and
it
see what
is.
happens.
But I need something. Give me something like a little piece of bread to keep coming back.
You got to find out. The bread's available on Raw tomorrow night, Kyle.
And I know it will be, but it was in the arena. I don't know how it looked on TV, but in the arena, it was super weird because they showed Alexa was just sitting there with the spotlight on her, and then they were showing the video on the screen of the playground and images of her and Uncle Howdy talking. And then the Uncle Howdy video cut off, the lights went dark, and an Applebee's commercial started playing, and Alexa hopped out of the ring. So it was like, that's it? Like that? What?
Applebee's.
So,
oh,
I mean, which the countdown clock was sponsored by Applebee's this year.
Okay.
But it was a weird transition. So it was a weird ending to a really forgettable match. A D. I'm giving it a D. I wasn't impressed. I love Bianca. Alexa's just not believable. And I think Rhea picks Bianca, and it's Rhea and Bianca at Mania for the Raw Women's Championship.
Okay.
That's my prediction. I don't have anything else to say about Alexa and Bianca. It was
I agree. I don't know if maybe a C- at most. But yeah, I think you're right on the mark there. And the only reason I give it that because it did the storyline aspect. It did progress it a little bit with Alexa Bliss. Again, we'll see what happens with Bianca. It could definitely will be Rhea Ripley. That would be a physical specimen of a match. Both women are very athletic, very strong. It could be some very good spots there. I think it is Rhea's time. One belt or the other. It's her time to. She's done a great job with the Judgment Day. I don't think the Judgment Day is the Judgment Day without Rhea Ripley. Honestly, she makes a lot of that happen. It would just be the same old with Priest doesn't really do a whole lot. Balor's good, but I think it's the whole her and Dominic kind of weird.
Yeah, they've elevated that.
Yeah, that's kind of kept that going longer than it probably would have otherwise.
Well, and if you remember last year, Rhea and Bianca were supposed to wrestle at WrestleMania Backlash, but Rhea had some dental work done and she had a concussion, so that match never happened. So let's run it back 2023 at WrestleMania and give Rhea her championship opportunity on a big stage.
So since we're talking about that, we'll roll right into the women's Royal Rumble match. That's the next match. Good segue there. And we start off with Rhea Ripley coming out at number 1 against Liv Morgan, which I wasn't surprised Liv Morgan was at the beginning just because she's been talking about she wanted to start at the beginning and beat everyone. I like her character, but kind of lately it's been lacking. I guess they hadn't really given her a lot of time since that run she had earlier in the year last year. But the thing I saw in the women's match was the men's match. To me, there were more surprises. They brought, like Brandon said earlier, they brought some NXT girls in.
Michelle McCool was Michelle
McCool,
awesome.
yeah, and that funny thing was they made sure they showed her on camera earlier being in the arena, and then I know I saw some stuff because I heard some things about her possibly being in the match, reading some stuff online, and she was like, "No, I hadn't heard anything. I'm waiting for my call," and then she shows up there and in the front row, and her music and she kind of stands there for a minute and looks around. And then she like, "Oh, I'm ready to go," and she rips off her overshirt and she's got her wrestling gear on. And honestly, I thought they gave her a lot of time, which was cool. They didn't like immediately eliminate her. Sometimes when they bring people in like that, they let them get their spot. They let them do their moves a few times, and then they eliminate them. Like Booker T, he got eliminated pretty quickly after he did his spinneroonie. So they gave her a pretty long run, honestly. And I thought that was really cool. Now, one thing I thought was very odd was the Chelsea Green removal. Like, why would you debut her and then immediately have her? Now she has the record for the shortest amount of time in the Rumble for women. But was that not strange to you guys?
I hated it.
That was terrible.
I didn't like it. Brandon?
I thought it was weird. I've never been a huge Chelsea Green person, but I still like if you're gonna bring her back, keep her in longer than 5 seconds.
Yeah,
I mean,
if you're gonna debut her at the Rumble, let her. If you're debuting her after she's been off TV, or not off TV, but off WWE TV for a year and a half, 2 years, let her get an elimination or something, or at least stay in a little longer.
Do you want to? Are you trying to push women on the card? Like, give her now. She looks like she's a squash match candidate.
Yeah, now I'm not taking her seriously for any kind of title because you got eliminated in 2 seconds in Rumble.
Yeah, I just thought that.
But Liv used to hold that record, so
I think.
I thought that was strange.
I think there was. It's cool to have Chelsea Green back. Here's the one I'm also not excited about, and somebody in the truck screwed this up on number 30. We're waiting for number 30, and they were supposed to start the countdown, and Nia Jax's music hits, and you're like, what? And then they started the countdown after the music. You scrap the countdown. We already know who it is.
That one was surprising as well. I wonder if they bring her into the bloodline at some point with that dynamic.
That's what I thought. Cause they haven't done Tamina yet, so I thought they would do Nia, or if Naomi ever came back. But
that's what I'm thinking is Naomi. When Naomi comes back, that I thought she was going to show up last night too. I thought she was going to be a surprise entrant in the Rumble, and she wasn't.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that Nia Jax coming out at the end. I mean, it's Nia Jax. I think the women's division could use some work. I don't think they are where they could be at the WWE. Well, they have some top talent.
You have Charlotte Flair. Charlotte Flair doesn't even have a match. I know she's got the one this Friday.
Well, she was the champion. There is no sense in. I mean, and she
but she should have been on the card. Like, give her some time. Give somebody some.
She came back after getting married and being off TV 7 months. The night she comes back, she wins the title.
That's a little weird. Okay, I get that, but she is the champion. Why? Now they're gonna have her match. She's fighting Sonya Deville on SmackDown.
Yeah,
again. Again.
So why don't we put the match on pay-per-view? I mean, she's not losing it probably anyway, but she's not losing on SmackDown. I mean, pretty confident in that. That confused me a little bit. You have one of your biggest stars in the women's division, probably the best women's wrestler that you've booked ever. I mean, she's got the most championships. Not to say that she's the best wrestler, but she's been booked like, her daddy, obviously. And you don't put her on the pay-per-view at all. I know she can't necessarily be in the Rumble because she's already got one belt, but at least give her a match. I thought that was a waste of not having. Then you didn't have the tag titles on the pay-per-view either, because you've only got one set. I just thought the pay-per-view overall just didn't have a whole lot of matches. I know the Royal Rumble is usually a little shorter, but man, it just you have these titles and then you don't defend them. So because you had the Intercontinental champion in the Rumble, you had the U.S. champion in the Rumble, you had the tag guys just helping them to beat somebody up in one match. You had two championship matches. You had the Raw Women's Championship and then the undisputed WWE Championship.
I don't think the titles have to be defended at every pay-per-view though. Because
they don't, but when you don't have very many to choose from, I mean,
especially the big pay-per-views.
Yeah, this one's, I consider this a big one.
But here's my thing though, with how long do you want to be watching a pay-per-view? Because that one last night was long.
Yeah. Well, the big thing is they don't do the pre-show matches anymore.
Yeah, you can put some of those on a pre-show.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what they used to do. Like, I mean, there were two title. The last one in San Antonio, there were two title matches on the pre-show, and then there was one, and the one in Houston, they had two pre-show matches, and there was one that was a U.S. title match. So.
Well, they used to be way long. I mean, the pay-per-view now wasn't bad. I mean,
but that's what I'm saying. So with the two Rumble matches, that's an hour apiece at least. So that's 2 hours of your show. If you're wanting a 4-hour pay-per-view, 7 to 11, then in order for the matches to breathe, which they didn't even get to last night, because I think the men's Rumble went a little longer than anticipated, and then with the Bray Wyatt LA Knight match, that's a short one. The Raw Women's Championship was a short one, and then the Women's Rumble, and then the long match at the end, after the match with Sammy and the Bloodline and KO and all that. So I think that I didn't mind the amount of matches because of the 2 Rumble matches that are an hour long of something going on. Now on a normal pay-per-view, yes, I would think a couple more matches to fill in and give them a good, 15, 20 minutes a piece. But for the Rumble purposes, I'm okay with having less matches because of the Rumble matches.
I just thought maybe one more match could have helped the show a little bit. I mean,
yeah. But here's the thing. What would that match be? If it was a match like the Raw Women's Championship, that would not have helped the show.
No, but I mean, you got plenty of good women. There was one women's match. I think you could have put the other Charlotte against somebody. Bring back Nia Jax and debut her and have a surprise opponent or something. I don't know, just something. That would have been cool. Heck, debut Chelsea Green and give her a chance. They gave Charlotte Flair right away. Spotlight somebody. It gives them a chance to put a spotlight on somebody else, and I think they missed the opportunity to do that because I don't really think you didn't really spotlight anybody you brought in that was a surprise person.
Well, the one thing I did like that they did in the Women's Rumble was what they did with Asuka when they how they brought her back.
Yes.
Yeah, now that was cool.
They kind of repackaged her, and I think she's more. But that's with the women's division. That's the problem, though. You have your top stars. You have your Charlotte, Becky, Bayley, Bianca, and that top tier. Asuka, Rhea Ripley's emerging that top tier. But after that,
because they don't build anybody else up.
That's the problem, though. That's the problem. You can bring back as many females as you want to the division. But if you don't build them up, and the Rumble is the perfect time to build them up, and I think they missed a lot of opportunities to do that. They could
be, but I mean, you do something like you bring Chelsea Green in, which you could really, really have a great chance there to debut her. I mean, what if you have Charlotte as a mystery opponent, and she debuts, and she comes out and they give a 15 to 20 minute awesome match? Mm-hmm. Even if she loses that, she's already now immediately elevated to that right at the top tier. You have a chance to do that, and then you put her in the Rumble and you eliminate her in 3 seconds or however long.
Yeah,
I just don't understand. So
that's what I was about to say. Is you went the complete opposite. You could have made her look good by doing what you said, but instead you brought her in the Rumble, debuted her at the Rumble for a 2-second out. Like, what's the point in even coming back? I thought also that her boyfriend Matt Cardona, they married. I thought he was coming back. Woo, woo, woo. I thought he was coming back.
You know it.
But if he comes back, I don't want him to come back as Zack Ryder.
I don't either. Yeah, I want him to come back.
I want him to come back as Matt Cardona.
I read somewhere where he has trademarked Zack Ryder.
So maybe coming back as Zack Ryder.
Now, but he trademarked it. So does that mean WWE can't use it? So maybe that's his way of maybe getting to come back as Matt Cardona.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. But overall, I thought the women's Rumble match was better than the men's because of the ending.
Because you didn't know who was going to win.
Well, that too. I really thought I kind of thought Rhea was going to win going into it. That was my pick going into it. But at the end with Asuka, the way Asuka had been, I thought Asuka was going to win it at the end. Then she got eliminated. Then the Hurricanrana by Rhea of Liv off the side, kind of a throwback to a Rey Mysterio type elimination. So there's a little Easter egg there. But I thought the women's Rumble match was better produced than the men's Royal Rumble match.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it was a really good match. They did a good job, minus the Chelsea Green botch. I think that was bad.
Yeah.
But they did a good job of bringing back some NXT, some new talent. You brought back Michelle McCool, which is a cool pop. Gave her time, and then you had a lot of good rivalries kind of going in there. You had, Bayley and Becky Lynch still going at each other in that little feud, which is building to something I'm sure still down the road. You had Asuka come back, repackaged a little bit. That was cool. I think overall, I agree, Kyle. This was a better match. I mean, honestly, I give it an A. It was a great match overall. It would have been an A+ if they did debuted Chelsea Green correctly. But that was
if they would have given her 10 seconds instead of 2.
Something where she could have at least maybe eliminated somebody big, like, oh, who's this Chelsea Green? She just eliminated Bailey or one of those like, somebody. But yeah, they didn't give her that, and that kind of gives it a drop down for me.
Yep. Main event time.
Main event. We got a lot to talk about. This is going to be interesting because there's not just the event; it's just kind of the way what it leads to, where it could lead to. You've got the undisputed WWE Universal Championship match, and Roman Reigns defeats Kevin Owens once again for the championship. And a lot of things happened after the match. And Kyle, what was your thoughts of just the match itself before we get to the actual aftermath?
I think this is either the third or fourth time that Roman and KO have gone at it, and at a pay-per-view. I know they've gone at least twice at the Rumbles, and it's a great match. I mean, Roman and KO put on a great match when they have great chemistry in the ring together. I know at War Games there was a little saltiness between one another because KO did an unplanned spot, nearly ruptured Roman's eardrum, and he was unhappy about it. But they're professionals, and I think they work really well in the ring together. I think it was interesting, the dynamic of Sami at ringside, because you noticed Roman kind of paying more attention to Sami than what was going on in the ring with Owens. Mm-hmm. And so it was an
his
interesting
facial expressions
dynamic.
on TV were cool. I don't know if Brandon probably enjoyed them too, but it was really cool that, it was like after every spot, you couldn't tell if he was like stressed for Roman or like what he was going to do to Kevin. Mm. So it was kind of strange. Brandon, did you see the facial expressions? They kept flashing the camera spot back over to Sami, kind of in different parts of the match. I think we lost Brandon for a second. We'll get him back in a second. But yeah, that was interesting to me, the different dynamic of the facial expressions. As here we got Brandon back again. Brandon, did you notice the facial expressions? They kept like panning back to Sami Zayn on each like a pin attempt and stuff during the match. It was kind of interesting.
Oh yeah, definitely. And then they would also they would kind of mention it. Cole and Corey and McAfee would mention it each time.
Oh, and you say McAfee? We didn't even talk about that.
Oh no,
I was like in person when you heard his music. Did you get excited,
dude? I heard his music because they had the like Rumble entrance or whatever, and then I was like, okay. And then you see Pat McAfee for the brand. I was like, oh no, he was so fired up. It was awesome to see. I went back and watched just McAfee coming out on Peacock just so I could hear Corey Graves, because I could see him from our seat and I could tell he was frustrated. I just wanted to hear what he had to say. But I love Pat.
Yeah, it was cool. I mean, obviously it wouldn't affect Kyle as much, but it made the pay-per-view so much more enjoyable. It was just a total difference if it would have been just Graves and Cole. Adding McAfee to the mix is just, I hope he's back for more than just this spot. And I know he's got the deal with ESPN. I'm not sure how much he'll be back, but man, I've missed him. It really has been a difference maker having him on the shows.
Yeah,
I wish he would have been in the Rumble. So
yes, he could have taken Ray's spot.
What about a Graves McAfee match? Graves has been cleared to directly wrestle again.
That's what I was wondering. Okay, yeah, that would be awesome, but
because that would be awesome. The two announcers going at it
at Survivor Series, Raw versus SmackDown.
Okay,
that's what needs to happen. But yeah, that was the Pat coming out was a great start. They definitely started the night hot with McAfee coming out. So a great start to the show.
So for this match, I thought we pretty much all thought Roman was going to win. It was more of what was going to happen with Sami and KO dynamic that we were kind of curious how it was going to go. I thought it could have gone a couple different ways. I wasn't sure if it was that time where Sami would finally step up for KO until we got to the aftermath of the match. And, he talked about it was going to be his test. And it come to find out his test was they were going to beat the Hound Dog out of KO until Sammy stepped in, and then he had his chance to with the chair. As soon as they handed him a chair, I was like, he's about to hit Roman Reigns with that chair. I was like, there's no way he's hitting KO with that chair. And sure enough, he hit him, and then he got beat down. The interesting thing for me, and the thing I did not expect, was Jey Uso to leave the ring and not. He was done. He was good with attacking KO, but when it went down to attacking Sammy, he did not attack him at all, and he left the ring frustrated. So that's the dynamic that I didn't see coming, and I thought it was a great job by WWE storytelling, because the whole Jey Sammy dynamic has been really the key to the whole bloodline Sami Zayn thing, because from the very beginning, Jey Uso did not like Sammy, and over time and then he was the one that defended him, that got him there to be able to still be in the bloodline. And then the fact that he just left when they started attacking because he was going to stand up for Sammy. He didn't want to do that. Man, that's just like, I'm ready for SmackDown this week if that's where they're going to keep this going, because, man, I want to know what's going to happen with that, because Roman is not going to be happy.
A couple of different ways I think they could go about it at the end. First off, what I missed, and I may start rewatching the Rumble tonight on Peacock after this, but what I missed was hearing what was being said. Like, for me in the arena, I have no clue what Roman and Sammy were saying to each other at that time. All it was you could almost hear a pin drop in the arena because everybody was waiting to see what was going to happen. And when Roman was first off, they did my Uncle Kevin something dirty. They had a Young Bucks super kick party on Kevin Owens' face. And it was, you just heard pop all throughout the arena. I felt bad for my Uncle Kevin. But once Roman got the chair and Sammy stepped in front, the whole place just lit up, because at that moment you said, okay, Sammy's sticking up for himself. Sammy's done. And so I think everything was fine until Roman mushed his face, mushed him a few times.
That last
Sammy
one
snapped. He basically sacrificed himself to save Kevin. It's a beautiful thing, beautiful storytelling. Mm-hmm. I was really surprised about Jey too, but I think Jey, yes, at the start Jey could not stand Sammy, didn't trust him, but they're dogs now. They're dogs with the handshakes. They're dogs now. And
they just defended the tag titles together.
And I think
Sammy stepped up and filled that where they were going to lose the tag titles not for Sammy stepping in.
I think Jay's just disappointed. He's so hurt by Sammy, but I think he's also angry with Roman for pushing Sammy to this point. So it's a weird dynamic that's going on there. Here's my thought. Here's what could happen. You could have Roman, Solo, and Jimmy on one side, with Jey, Sammy, and KO on the other side. You could do that match at Chamber.
Okay.
There's enough heat right there, and there's 3-on-3. I'm not gonna lie. Part of me, when all this was going on, was waiting to hear "If You Smell," because I thought The Rock was coming out. Because I thought The Rock was going to come out as like the dad and like, all right, kids, like let me handle this, but he didn't. But a lot of different angles they could go with this, but that was my thought at the end of the match.
It'd also be kind of cool. Just make the Chamber all 6 of those guys.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes. Yes.
Man, that would be a match.
They would it would have you hooked the whole way.
100%.
More than a tag match, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I can't think of a better storyline that WWE's had probably since the Yes Movement with Daniel Bryan. Like that organic, just Daniel Bryan got hot and the crowd got behind him. Well, the crowd is fully behind Sami Zayn now. I don't know if y'all heard it on Peacock. I don't know if they edited it out or not. A chance that everybody.
FU Roman
Yeah, okay.
chant.
I was
Yeah,
making
There it
sure.
is. Yeah.
Okay.
you could hear
All
it.
right. I didn't know if because it was really loud when 50,000 people were saying it. But I didn't know how Peacock was going to handle that. Roman's been on this, like, yes, he's a heel, but people love him. Like, I have head of the table and acknowledge me shirts. I'm a big Roman fan.
And a lot of it was because of Sammy.
A lot of it. What?
Oh, he's got Brandon's got.
I love Roman. I had a We the One shirt on last night. Like, I love the bloodline, but you know you're doing your job right when you can get 50,000 people to absolutely despise you for beating up somebody. And so I think this positions Sammy at the top of the card on the babyface side, even above Cody, even though Cody just won the Rumble. I don't see a way you can go to Mania without having Sammy beat Roman for the titles. I don't know how you do it with as hot as he is.
Yeah, I don't know, but then again, we also talked about how's the Usos with the tag titles going to fit into that. Now you've got them not on the same page.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see them maybe having to defend the titles and they're not together 100%, and that's why they lose the titles? They lose the tag team titles that way.
These titles are going to come off the bloodline at some point, and when they do come off, the bloodline's going to collapse. I just don't know when it's going to happen, and I don't know if it's going to happen all at once. Like, is it all going to happen at Mania, or is it going to trickle off?
I could see the tags happening first because of this whole thing. They happened before, and then the final straw on the camel's back is at Mania when Roman loses his. And that just kind of – because now that everything's collapsed, he doesn't have that strong backing. You know, he's got Solo right now, which is his primary guy, but at some point, Solo's positioned himself. He hasn't lost on the main roster, has he?
Nope.
So you got to think that, okay, maybe he thinks he's head of the table.
Well, I was really hoping they were going to have that acknowledgement ceremony with the Anoa'i family in attendance. I was really hoping for that. That was going to be interesting. But the trial of Sami Zayn was fantastic television.
And that was the whole thing behind that was when The Rock was going to be a part. When they couldn't get The Rock, they changed it, I think.
I'm not counting out The Rock just yet. I'm not counting.
It's in Hollywood. I mean,
he said his excuse is he's not ring ready. Well, have you seen The Rock lately? I'm pretty sure he can go in the ring.
Yeah, he's pretty big guy.
Yeah, but I think it was I think the ending was almost cinematic, like a movie ending, and I can't wait. I doubt they'll do anything about it tomorrow on Raw, just because Roman never shows up on Raw. So I doubt they do anything with it on Raw. But SmackDown on Friday should be.
Do you think that may not be the Roman part of it, but possibly Sammy KO show up at Raw, or you think they're out for a while after this? Because they did take a beating.
Knocked them off television.
Do you sell it? Do you sell that for a while and then make it a bigger pop when they return? You let the bloodlines figure their whole thing out first.
I think you can't show up tomorrow because then it's like the beating wasn't that bad. I think if they show up, they have to show up Friday. I don't think you can show up tomorrow. I think they get tomorrow off.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see, though.
Yeah. Overall, though, I mean, the show was okay. The ending saved a lot of it. Without that ending, if we just had a normal ending and it went off air, I would probably give it a thumbs down pay-per-view. But the ending saved everything for me.
It's what we've been waiting for the last only 6 months or so. You knew it was going to happen at some point.
We just didn't know when.
Well, y'all got any Brandon, got any final thoughts about the overall pay-per-view?
I mean, I enjoyed it. I mean, it wasn't like Kyle said, it wasn't the best Royal Rumble show overall, but it was good, and the ending was incredible, and it left you, because even when it was over, you still didn't know, like, is it over? Like, you're waiting for something like, is Jay gonna come back out, or is somebody's music gonna hit? Because it just, you didn't know, and then it ended, but it was a great ending, and it was a good show overall.
All right. Well, I'd like to thank everyone for tuning in tonight to our first ever episode of Off the Ropes. We're going to try to do these after pay-per-views and such. We'll when we decide our next one, we'll get that scheduled out. Make sure you go to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/@disrespectsn. Follow us on Twitter @disrespectsn. That's where you'll find some information about our new channel, the DSN, the Disrespect Sports Network. You never know what's going to happen here on the Disrespect Sports Network. This is just our first of many shows that we'll be having here. But the Off the Ropes, I'm excited about it, guys. It's going to be a lot of fun and it's good times.
I just looked. Did you know we only have 3 weeks till the chamber?
Ooh.
Like
When is it?
February 18th. So we
I
have
wonder if
3
they'll do
weeks.
something in March this year.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know, but only 3 weeks till the chamber, so it's got to be a quick turnaround, which worries me because a lot of these same storylines we saw in the Rumble, some of them may be wrapping up at the chamber time, so maybe we can start something new by Mania. I don't know.
Yeah,
but yeah, so February 18th is the chamber.
Okay, and we're going to normally probably do these shows like after a pay-per-view. So we'll have them set, for 10:30 whenever pay-per-view we normally would end, and we'll go on after the show. That way it's kind of more fresh on our minds and such. But since Kyle went to the show, I mean, gosh,
hey, I could have done it in the hotel room.
We could have, but it just wouldn't have been, it'd been a little more difficult. We're gonna try to get these things where we are after the show though, and so it should be fun. It should be a lot of fun.
Well, it's good that most of the shows now are on Saturdays,
yes.
except the Mania is going to be 2 nights, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, we may have to, it may be a 2-episode thing, or we might have to just do it one after the last. I don't know. We'll figure that out. But I appreciate everyone joining us. Brandon, thanks for coming. We'll negotiate your contract, see if we can get you get the right level of years and things on your deal, and see if we can have you back.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me. This was fun.
Yep. That's going to wrap up this first edition of Off the Ropes. For Kyle Brandon, I'm Bret. We'll catch you next time right here on DSN. Good night, everyone.